Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Purple Breakdown. I am your host, Alex, and I'm so excited to be back here on another episode with you all. I hope you are all having a great, amazing, and wonderful day. I know I am. I am hoping the same for you guys. It was beautiful out there today. A little bit of rain in the morning, a little bit of thunder and lightning, but it's become a wonderful day, and I'm really excited to be here because tomorrow there's big news for the NFL with the draft starting. We get to see who all the first round picks are, and so I'm so excited to see that. I hope you guys are too. I hope you can feel the energy coming off me because I'm so ready for the draft tomorrow. I will be watching that, and I will do a live reaction. Like, the video will come out as soon as we're done with our pick. There will be a reaction coming out from me on who the Ravens picked and what I think of them. So be looking forward to that. But first, before we jump into it, I just want to say, hey, if you like the content that you're hearing, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Subscribing helps, so does commenting. I love reading your guys' comments. You also get the chance to be mentioned in the long-form video here. I just want to talk Ravens football most primarily and foremost. I love reading your guys' comments. It makes my day. I love reading them. I want to talk Ravens football, and that's how we can do that. Please do the same if you're on Spotify. Follow, review, leave a like, all that greatness. And let's jump into it, and we're going to start with our normal comments of the day. And our comments of the day, we're going to start off with David and Ravens Pro, because you two did very similar comments. David, you said, this is great news. What is your prediction on number one pick? I think we would take the best O-lineman available. And Ravens Pro, you said, great news. I want Vega and Kenyon Sadiq. But I want Vega more. Keep Lamar Jackson protected. You're both responding great news to the Nnamdi Madubuike news, and I think that's great. There's should be optimism now growing for Madubuike and his health and his availability to return, and so I'm really excited for that. And to answer both your question, I think the Ravens are more than likely going to go O-line in the first round, but I've been hearing more and more pundits going and leaning towards and saying, hey, Ravens really like Sadiq, and even some insiders for the Ravens are saying they really like Sadiq. And I think it is a case of they may love Sadiq, but you also got to think, what is the most pressing need for the Ravens right now? And that is O-line. And so we're going to go into that a little bit, but I want to thank you both for commenting. Sorry I'm not diving too much into your comments right now, because both your comments actually line up perfectly for one of the segments I have in this video, and I will address your comments even more right there and dive into them more. So I want to thank you, David and Ravens Pro, for the comments. If you would like your comments featured in the next long form video, please remember to comment on this video. Also, we're up to 88 subscribers right now, so thank you all for who have subscribed. You have made my day and made the community better, and the community is what it is because of all of you who have subscribed. I'm really hoping by the end of next month we can be up to 100. So let's make that happen. The goal is 100. So let's jump into it today. The draft is upon us tomorrow. It does begin tomorrow. I will be watching it live, and when the Ravens make the pick, I will make a live reaction to that. And who are the Ravens going to take with the number one pick in the first round? Who are they going to take? They don't have the number one. They have the number 14 pick. And I think when looking at it, there's two ways you need to go on this. And Ravens Pro, you're exactly on it. It all revolves around Lamar. How this draft operates, at least in the first few rounds, is what are the needs around Lamar? Because the offense needs to be successful. What most of the pickups in free agency have been focusing on the defense and boosting the defense and making the defense better. The defense is set right now as it is. One of those first three picks that the Ravens have in the draft may go towards the defense to try and solidify the defense up a little further and just inject a little more talent into it. I wouldn't mind Peter Woods in the second round if he is there. I'm still very high on him, but it needs to focus on Lamar first and primary and foremost. And there's two ways it needs to focus. You're either giving him another weapon to operate with, or you are giving him O-line protection. And it's the question, which is more important for Lamar right now? Does Lamar need weapons more with only having Mark Andrews really as weapon at tight end? Does he need another receiver with only having really Zay and theoretically a resurgent year from Rashad Bateman and maybe LeJounte or Tez taking a step forward? but I'm not going to be leaning on them entirely, especially the first year where you're asking them to step forward. I'd like to see them take a step forward and get more production, get more yardage, but I'm not expecting them to make a massive leap forward just in their first year doing that. They're still young. They still got room to grow. They still got more to give, and it'll come as the years come along more. So when looking at it, do you give Lamar another weapon? And I think the obvious at tight end is Kenyon Sadiq, just because of his measurables, what he did at Oregon, and just he's a crazy freak athlete that you could get a lot out of. And as said earlier, the pundits really like him, and I really like him as well. I think he'd be an amazing tight end, especially in an AFC North where tight ends can and do dominate, especially you see what the Steelers did this past year, what Fanning Jr. did. Prior to that, years that Andrews and Isaiah Likely have had, it is across the board a division that tight ends can thrive in, and Sadiq, I really fully believe, could thrive extremely well in the environment of the AFC North, and especially on the Ravens, who operate in formations and personnel that would really complement him. And so you could go that route. Give Lamar a tight end that is a major weapon, sort of like Isaiah Likely did, and if Lamar swang out of the pocket and was searching down the field with extra time, extending that play, he could be finding that big guy down the field who is Sadiq, just like he did with Likely, and sort of mimic that same play style. That could be the way they go with it. Now, I do think Sadiq is a better blocker than what Likely was, and can be used in the blocking game more than what Likely was and used in that. Outside that, the other weapon at wide receiver, you're looking at Mekhi Lemon and you're looking at Jordan Tyson, in my opinion. Mekhi is very much a similar, would play in the slot like Zay, and I think there would be too much competition there right now, and so I would lean more towards Jordan Tyson and looking at his size, his capability to block, his downfield threat, and he could be a massive impact on the Ravens, a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver in the future that the Ravens could get the most out of and really have a threat at wide receiver paired up with Zay. And now you have your true down the field threat. Rashad Bateman is that right now, but Tyson would take that over, and then Zay over the center, and you have a very good combo here on how to operate between those two. And I love Tyson as a wide receiver, and I think he'd be an absolute threat on the Ravens. And that's the way you go if you're looking at a weapon for Lamar. If Love dropped to pick 14, I 100% think the Ravens should take everything to get him at that point. If he is at pick 14, they shouldn't look anywhere else. They should look Love. I don't expect Love to make it past Tennessee. I think he'll be taken at the 4th pick, and that will be everything that happens right there. And Love won't make it further than that, even though I think he's deserving of a top 1 or 2 pick, and in my opinion, he should be the top pick in the draft. That's beside the point. The other thing that the Ravens could really use that's centralized around Lamar, and that idea that the draft needs to be around Lamar and help him, would be the Ravens operate so heavily through him that when he gets injured and is unhealthy, the Ravens season suffers. And we've seen this in the past where Snoop has gone in, and Snoop really helped the season last year. But in years prior that it has struggled, and the Ravens made the playoffs and sort of lost in the first round, and their steam simmered out because they didn't have Lamar in that backfield anymore. So what's the number one way you help Lamar in that regard is by increasing that O-line, by making that O-line better. And especially with the Bengals, and I went into this yesterday, the Bengals going in and bringing in Dexter Lawrence, Boya Mafe, the Browns still have Myles Garrett, and the Steelers still have a really good D-line too. You're in a very heavy defensive division, at least when it comes to Steelers and Browns, and now the Bengals have at least 1, possibly 2 or more players that are going to be stepping up further and being a threat to the Ravens. The question is, how do you make that O-line healthy so Lamar doesn't get injured playing 6 games against division rivals that could injure him? And you boost that O-line. Now, there's 2 possibilities here that you could go with for the O-line. There's obviously Venga, Ioane and Spencer Fano. You have those 2. I prefer Venga over Spencer I think Spencer is an amazing player, especially tackle. He's got great size. He's got great athleticism. He just is not a proven true guard at this point, and that's what the Ravens need, is a really good proven guard who has a high floor and can come in and make an immediate impact, and that is Vanga. Vanga is that, and now I know some people say you may be taking him early at the 14th pick, but if the Ravens want to protect Lamar, that's the way to go. And then they can address center later, and I'm a high believer in Logan Jones still and always will be. I think that should be the Ravens' pick, especially when they get into the third round. And so we'll see which way they go with that. They can go Kenyon Sadiq or Jordan Tyson in the first, and then swing to a guard in the second and swing to a center in the third with Logan Jones. They can go that route if they want. But those are the sort of four guys I'm looking at in the first round. And if I'm leaning to, I'm going with Ravens Pro here, and I'm going to say Kenyon Sadiq and Vanga. Those are the two that I look at as the Ravens and going, these are the two I want to target the most. Now, to reply solely to David, who do I think the Ravens take? I'm a higher believer in Sadiq, and from all the reports I've heard, they really do love Sadiq, and I think they're going to lean that way too and get a serviceable guard in the second round to sort of put some pressure on Emory Jones Jr. and Voorhees to take that step forward and be a reliable guard. And so that's the way I lean that way, and I want to say Sadiq, but this draft can go so many different ways, and I've heard other teams really like Sadiq as well, and he could go higher, and it could force the Ravens' hands. We'll see which way they go. This is a really unpredictable draft. After it gets outside those top four picks, it just becomes open season of who's going to take what. And so we'll see. Now, one other thing I want to address here is some pundits are coming out and saying, hey, the Ravens need running back because Derrick Henry is 32 years old. They can't trust him to perform to the level that he has in the past, especially since the Ravens have him out through the 2027 season, so 2 more seasons in the team, and are saying you're putting too much faith in Derrick Henry, and that 32 is the age where running backs just fall off the face of the earth and just go into the ground, and that you can expect it 30 and 31-year-old to hang in there and keep going, but 32 isn't just gonna, it's just, he's too old, they got to go somewhere else. I disagree with that. I think Derrick Henry is still an amazing, great running back. He's going to prove it this year. Now, I do think they cannot give him as heavy as a workload. They need to mix up the running back room and rely on him in the key moments, but give him breaks when it is needed and boost that O-line so it's easier for him, which will be hard with the division that they're in. But the Ravens are a heavy run team first, and Henry has shown no signs of slowing down as of yet. And he's taken great, amazing care of his body. He still has full confidence in himself being an amazing player, and says, when I finally get that feeling that I'm just not going to perform anymore, I'll take that step down and back off. But he doesn't think he's there yet, and I don't think he is either. He's an amazing player. He's an amazing athlete. He takes an amazing care of his body, better than about anyone else in the league. And I think when looking at him and what he can do, he still has more to offer and will be an amazing running back for 2 more years for the Ravens. And we'll see where he ends up in a year or two. And I think he will be one of the reasons that the Ravens go on to win a Super Bowl. He will be one of the reasons that the Ravens do that. Now, I think they need to start looking running back. I don't do it this year. If they're going to look running back and not replacing Derrick Henry right now, but replacing him in 2 years when he is 34 and he is probably at that point thinking about retirement, you do that in the draft next year when there's an amazing draft class to do that in, especially with how many quarterbacks are projected to go next year, and that'll help so many other skill positions last till later in the draft. That'll be a big boon for the Ravens. I don't think he's going to have a fall off this year. I expect him to perform very well, and to show everyone who's saying he's getting too old, they're wrong, and that he will do that and keep going forward. And speaking of people who are expected to take a step forward, Minter has come out and recently said that he expects Mike Green to take a big step forward and fill in a larger role and shoes on the defense. I think this is especially when it comes to the pass rush. He's going to be getting mentored by Trey Hendrickson and getting more advice from mentor and those defensive coaches that will get him to become a more productive pass rusher and teach him those moves, and he has the discipline for it, and get back there and after the quarterback. And I expect him to take a step forward because of that. But he claims that Malaki Starks is going to become a household name this next year. And honestly, I believe Malaki Starks is one of the most analytically minded defensive backs in the NFL, and is paired back there with Kyle Hamilton and can learn off Kyle Hamilton, and knows that he will sort of be that backfield, because Hamilton will be searching and lurking and being used as a Swiss Army knife and going every which way to try and make defensive plays. And then Malaki will sort of be in that backfield, the driver of the backfield, I'm going to sort of direct the choreography of how the defensive backs move and which way we go. And I think because of that, he will become such an amazing player in how he reads the offense, and will have a great and amazing year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 3 picks this next year for Malaki Starks, and he will have an amazing year. And I 100% believe that the Ravens will have the best safety room in the entire NFL at the end of this next year, as long as they stay healthy. So that is about all I have for today. I know it's been a short podcast episode, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to get out there, talk a little bit more before the draft starts up tomorrow, and I hope you're all really excited for it. I want to hear in the comments below. Tell me, who do you guys want? Who are you expecting to see? Who do you want with that 14th overall pick? We got it. Let's see. It's first time in a while we've had that high of a pick. Let's see who we take. I want to hear from you guys who you want. So I want to thank you all so much for joining in and listening. If you like the content that you're hearing again, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and share. If you're on Spotify, follow, leave a review, and comment as well. Comments get featured in the long form videos here, and you get the shout out, and you make my day. I just want to hear from you guys, because I want to talk Ravens football. I want to thank you all so much for joining in and jumping in and listening to the podcast. Let's go Ravens, and let's see how we do tomorrow. I'm expecting big, good first round pick, solid for the Ravens. Let's go Ravens. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all tomorrow with that live reaction. Have a good one.